Good evening and welcome to today's Tropics for July 25th, 2020. Please note I am not a meteorologist and this video is just a collection of my thoughts and opinions about the storms I'm talking about. And for any decision making, please consult the National Hurricane Center or your local officials. So today I'm looking at Hurricane Hanna, which is very recently made landfall on Padre Island, Texas. Hurricane Douglas, which is threatening Hawaii tomorrow, and also Invest 92L, which isn't doing too much right now, but may become a threat down the road. So let's first off look at Hurricane Hanna. So as I just mentioned, it just made landfall, and it's been intensifying all day. It started out as a strong tropical storm this morning, but it was able to strengthen under relatively favorable conditions, and is now 90 miles per hour. And you can see even here it's it's clearing its eye now, and that's partly because convection is a little shallower now, so you can have the eye clear out. But now it's looking a lot more like your classical hurricane. Taking a look at radar, you can see, on radar has also made landfall. So this is that didn't have anything to do with satellite. You can see that the eastern eye wall is a bit more intense than the western eye wall, so that's definitely going to be a threat as Hanna moves to the west southwest, and you should definitely. So anyone who is in here should not be thinking the storm's over or the other side will be less severe, because it does look like this backside might be worse than the front. So, obviously you don't want to let your guard down in the eye of a hurricane, but it definitely looks like, unfortunately, this side of the eye wall is the more intense one. In addition, there's some flooding risk very soon as a result of this band here, because as Hanna moves this way, you're going to have this band come down in this region, and that means you're going to get heavy rain there that's over the area for a long time, because the generally slow movement of only about 6 miles an hour. So you could definitely see a lot of flooding here in the next day as Hanna slowly moves down west-southwest and weakens. In addition, surge is definitely a problem, and you can see why. There's a lot of onshore flow, especially in places like Baffin Bay here, where the wind is pushing into this area and pushing water into this narrower region. So you're getting several feet of surge occurring. So you're going to get flooding here, not even because of rain, but a lot of it is because of that surge. Looking at the official National Hurricane Center cone, it's supposed to continue going west-southwest as it is now, and weaken as it's over land, and eventually, as it hits the mountain, it will lose its low-level center. So it's a relatively straightforward forecast there, but even though it is going to start weakening and is heading inland, there are a few risks to watch out for still. So here's a map of the kind of official expected peak surge of Hanna, and you can see that's quite a large system, and as a result, that bubble of water, and especially because of onshore flow here, you'll have some mild surge going all the way up to Galveston Bay, and extending all the way down to the mouth of the Rio Grande, and then south of that you get into Mexico. And it looks like the peak again here is around Baffin Bay and Corpus Christi Bay. Between those two areas, you're going to have the highest surge of 46 feet, because that is where you're getting a lot of the strong onshore flow, which is pushing a lot of water into this region. So there's likely going to be a lot of flooding there. And even down to the south, where there isn't that onshore flow, you're also going to see that kind of bubble of water that has been carried with Hanna come into the region, and also cause some surge here, although it isn't quite as intense as it does look to the north. So along with the flooding from surge is possible flash flooding from rain, as again that strong band of rain dives to the south and west along with the general storm. And with that heavy rain staying over the same area for a while, you might get some flash flooding from that rain. So flash flooding and surge are definitely two threats that are going to continue, along with some wind in the eye wall as it comes on shore. Now looking at Hurricane Douglas, it's weakened in the past day because it's been over cooler water, so it can't have that powerful eye wall that it did when it was a Category 4 hurricane, and now it's weakened now to Category 1, 90 miles an hour, so it's equal wind strength to Hurricane Hanna. And it's expected to continue weakening, although it might not weaken as fast as it's starting to leave that area of cooler water. However, now it's threatening Hawaii, and you can see the Big Island here, just in the far west of this floater here. And so the Big Island, along with a lot of the other major islands of the Hawaiian island chain, look to be threatened by Hurricane Douglas tomorrow and Monday. Looking at that infrared imagery, you can see that there's been a resurgence of convection because it is entering some warmer waters. They're still marginal, but they're enough to keep some convection going. It's not like the other storms that could not have any convection. And it is still weakening, though. The current recon mission in the storm is still finding a storm that is almost Category 2, but it has been weakening slowly and is now up to 984 millibars. But again, it'll still be a pretty respectable storm as it passes to likely a bit to the north of the Big Island, almost directly over some of the islands further west. So Douglas is currently around here, so it is in slightly cooler than 26 degrees Celsius waters. So the water temperatures are still marginal. However, as it starts to move west-northwest, you see that as it approaches these islands here, it's going to get in slightly warmer water, so you're going to get into 26, possibly even 27 degree water. So that might stop the storm from weakening as much due to a lack of heat below, but more rather the future weakening looks to be the interaction with this upper trough here ahead. And you can see it's got strong shear, but right now it's to the north of Douglas. However, as it continues moving this way, it will start feeling a lot more of that shear and start getting sheared by this upper trough. So continue weakening because of that, thankfully for the islands. Looking at the National Hurricane Center official cone, you can see that there's a lot of watches and warnings. There are some tropical storm warnings for the western islands here, and also hurricane watch, and then hurricane warning for Oahu here, because it looks like it'll pass by closely and possibly as a hurricane. And then there it looks like there is a tropical storm warning, or was tropical storm watch. The main issues here are going to be actually a few issues here, because you see that there is a wind threat as it comes by close to the island, so you're going to have a lot of wind that's coming from the storm, and especially in the mountainous regions, you're going to have some funneling of wind and higher wind aloft that may cause some wind damage with winds that are higher than the actual storm itself. And at the same time, there's going to be like high surf, so you're going to have dangerous conditions on the beaches. So definitely watch this storm and be prepared. If you aren't already prepared for the storm, do so very quickly, because it is coming. Looks like tomorrow or early Monday, depending on how far east or west you live. But it definitely looks like that we're going to have some flooding happening, depending on how the thunderstorms go, and wind threat and dangerous conditions at sea. Now let's take a look at Invest 92L. So right now it's no immediate threat to land, but down the road, especially people in the Leeward Islands might have to watch this storm as it could impact them. But otherwise, there aren't too many threats in the near term from this storm. Currently, it's your usual eastern Atlantic large wave. You have a pretty decent spin here. However, you don't really have a lot of convection that's over the center or the wave axis. Instead, there's a lot of scattered convection around here. So it's not really an unusual sort of system for this part of the Atlantic. And the next few days, it looks like it'll start to organize more into a tropical cyclone. And the conditions are favorable around it. You can see in the next day or so from the GFS model here. It's going to have a bit of easterly shear, as you see to the south with a tropical easterly jet, but it's not really all that significant over the storm. And you also have some more southwesterly shear, especially to the north. So you do have that anticyclonic flow aloft. That's probably going to allow convection to continue firing over this storm, and it's definitely a good look aloft for tropical cyclogenesis and eventually strengthening of a tropical cyclone if one were to form in this region. So at this point, there's definitely some decent consensus that it will try to threaten the Leeward Islands and possibly Puerto Rico as whatever it is by then, and take your usual west-northwest track. That's about 5 days out, so it could move, shift north or south, because that is a long time, and there's a lot of uncertainty at this time. But so far, it doesn't seem that there's a huge divergence on track. Once you get past there, there's a larger divergence, and it's just too early, really, to look at possible impacts for, say, Bermuda or the United States East Coast or the Bahamas. So we'll have to take a look later to actually see if these places are going to get impacted, because at this point we don't have a developed tropical cyclone, and it is just very far away at this point in time. And it's hard to make confident forecasts when they're out, say, like a week. However, we'll have to watch this trough that at this point in this model forecast is over northeastern United States and also Quebec and parts of Labrador, because this may or may not pick up whatever 92L is at that point, depending on how deep it is or where 92L ends up being. But anyway, this trough could come in, could pick it up, could possibly not. At this point, again, it's too early to tell for impacts beyond these islands here. So we shall see what happens about this wave, and hopefully it doesn't impact anyone too badly, especially since it is only July and we're only getting into the beginning of that peak of the hurricane season in August. Otherwise, there isn't too much going on in the global tropics. Gonzalo has dissipated now as expected, and otherwise there's, again, nothing really much going on in the tropics. If you have any questions or comments about my video, please let me know, and thank you for watching.